We're live. This is the Rich Lieberman Media Pulse. Now, look, uh, Dennis Richmond is in the news, and I want to talk about Dennis Richmond, but I haven't been talking about his condition, and I know he was involved and had a very serious health condition very recently, a heart attack, a fall, and he's not doing that well. I had known for years now that Dennis Richmond has been in declining health, and therefore, what am I going to say? I'm not going to say anything because what is there to say? I'm not so much talking about his legacy and all that. I'll get into that in a second. He's still alive, so I it's awkward. And I'm going to talk about his health condition. And I don't know specifically, I don't go venturing around social media to check upon his condition. I know there are people who have been asking, why aren't you talking about Dennis Richmond? Why don't you talk about Dennis Richmond? Because it's awkward. Because as much as a professional and absolute Bay Area icon in terms of anchoring and news and all that, when KTVU actually was legit, what am I going to say? I didn't think, nor ever said so, Dennis Richmond was in the same line as a Van Amberg or a Dave McElhatton, or for that matter, even more contemporary anchors, so forth. So, look, am I sorry that he's in declining health and had this debilitating issue come up? Of course. Of course. But I'm not going to go out of my way to start talking about somebody and their condition based upon what others are coming on and saying uh, with regards to his condition. I don't do that. I don't get into it. I never have. And I'm a little bent, frankly, for people. Why don't you talk about Dennis Richmond? Talk about Dennis. You don't say anything about Dennis Richmond. What is there to say right now? We don't know the severity. We don't know his actual. I know he's in very serious situation, and and I'm not trying to come off as holier than thou. All right, there are areas, ladies and gentlemen. There are areas where even the least amount of time I want to spend on somebody and their condition is, to me, it's bad karma. Okay. I knew, like I said, I've been knowing this for years now that he's been in declining health. He had a bad hip. He's had issues with his back. He came to KTVU when in June and I'm very surprised that he was able to do this. When Julie Hayner retired, they had a little function on the air and he was there. Didn't look good, didn't sound good. And, there are some things I still believe in the sanctity of your personal life in terms of your health and all that. Some of you might be shaking your head. Yeah, sure, sure. Well, it's just the way it is. And if you want to rip me or criticize me that I haven't spoken about Dennis Richmond with regards to his current situation, then go ahead. What am I going to say? Okay. Have there been other folks that I've talked about in terms of their health? Of course, but it's been public. Look, I'll give you another example with Ron Owens. I knew Ron was in a situation with regards to, uh, the onset of Parkinson's and all that. He became, let me rephrase that. He was public with it, and I talked about it. Okay. I don't go around looking for people's personal life in terms of obviously their inner family, kids, and the condition that they're in. There are exceptions. Uh, I'll give you one, and that was Dennis O'Donnell, because he mysteriously just disappeared. And disappeared. Nobody knew what was going on. I made it a point of talking about it because there was no statement from him being Dennis O'Donnell, and just vanished. And he is a public person. there was some speculation as to what was taking place. Where is he? The television station at the time didn't say anything. And of course, with all these HIPAA laws and all that, but Dennis was a public person. He's Dennis O'Donnell. And it was just the nature of that story dictated in the manner in which I came out and, was talking about his condition and saying that there was some health situation and so forth. So sometimes the health, personal issues, that kind of a thing. If you're a public person, that may change or dictate the manner in which you report. Okay. With this instance with Dennis Richmond, I have known for many months now that he hasn't been doing well. Okay. Some of the issues I've heard, and there's no reason for me to go on here and talk about a guy's hip or his back or the fact now apparently there's had some heart issue which precipitated a fall. As I said at the very beginning, what the hell am I supposed to talk about? I hope somehow, some way, Dennis Richmond is not a young guy. I hope some manner in which he is feeling a lot better, that he recovers, and what have you. And God forbid, talk about him in the past, post-mortem sense. I put him in high regard because he lasted so long. I mean, he literally started out as a janitor at KTVU, then became an intern, and there's stories and photos of him on the internet with regards to his tenure at KTVU, and then eventually retired. God, more than 15 years ago. I think it was 2008, May of 2008. He lasted more than 40 years. And still is a very, very dedicated professional. Now, there were some issues with regards to his personal life that I also knew about. Many people at KTVU who worked there and had some sort of working relationship with regards to Mr. Richmond that were well known within the industry circle that I didn't talk about. I brought it up because as a point of reference, it was well known. Therefore, but put that aside. I'm not going to go on here and speculate about a person's health condition. As sure as hell, I'm not going to go on Facebook and search out colleagues and get the word from Julie Hayner of what his condition is. I don't deal with that. And if you want to call me on that, be my guest. Just the matter. Again, certain people, certain elements of a person's health status, okay, maybe they're warranted for that kind of a thing. I'm not going there in this instance, right? And I hope that he recovers. I hope he's feeling good. I hope he's not in any kind of pain. I don't know his status. There are people, folks, that send me tips and things like that, or even personal things. Hey, this person, talk about it. He or she is in the hospital or they're dealing with something. And even at that point, but it's been known for many, many years that Dennis Richmond, this is my last time I'm going to repeat this, that he's been in declining health. And he's had issues which, frankly, are not as serious as what is being put out there with regards to this latest deal. So I'll deal with Dennis Richmond. And I've, again, said, and I want to make this very, very clear. His legacy at Channel 2 was mostly, the matter of fact, was that he started out meagerly and became one of Channel 2's most preeminent anchors. And he lasted a long time, and I'll give him that. Thorough professional. There's no doubt about that. So the other things Now I'm just not going to go there because I don't know. And even if I did, unless I had his permission or anything like that, I'm not going to go on and start talking about what happened. It's unfortunate. Obviously, it's a tragedy, and we'll leave it at that. So that's my deal with regards to Dennis Richmond. And if those are people out there, friends of Dennis, or people that worked with him that are not necessarily friends, or those who've had a career or a working relationship at some time or another at KTVU, I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope for he has a speedy recovery. So that's my deal with regards to Dennis Richmond.